Joining me now, first class father Remi Adeleke. Welcome back to First Class Fatherhood.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, last time I had you here was episode 70. It was about 5 years ago. This is going to be
Oh,
episode
yeah.
719. So
Wow.
there's been quite a lot of SEALs who have stopped by on the podcast here. So it's an honor to have you back. Let me get an update. Last time I think we spoke, you had three boys or three
Yeah,
kids. I know that. Give me an update. How many kids? How
I
old?
got four now. Four. We stopped it at four. I have a daughter, so my daughter's the youngest.
How old are the boys now?
So 9, 8, 4, and my daughter will be 3 in October.
Wow, awesome. I got the same run as you. I got three boys, then got the girl on the fourth
Yeah.
try. So we did the same thing. We shut it down right after that. We got the
How old
girl,
are
and that
they
was
now?
my oldest is 17. I got a 17, 16, 12, and 8. So we're right in the two teenagers and two little ones here. So we got the best
Yeah,
of both worlds right now.
yeah. It's a lot of fun, man.
If you could, Remi, for those who don't know, just take 1 second to hit the listeners with a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I was born in Africa into a wealthy family. My Nigerian government stripped my dad of everything. We went from rich to poor, came to the States, got in trouble in New York City, ended up, working my way out of trouble by joining the Navy. Eventually became a frogman and spent 13 and a half years in the Navy, with the majority of those years spent in special operations as a SEAL. Got out in January 2016. Was getting my master's in business consulting when I got the phone call to work on a movie called Transformers the last night. And that movie is what essentially launched my career in Hollywood. Started out as a consultant slash actor, then progressed to a writer, then progressed to a writer director. I directed a short film on organ harvesting, which is a subset of human trafficking. That short film is on YouTube now. It's called The Unexpected. And that short film got picked up to be a feature film. And so we were actually in the process of getting everything made when the writer's strike and the happened. So and the actor's strike. So we're standing down now, and that's kind of where I'm at today, brother.
Yeah, well, congratulations on all your success. I know you've been everywhere, and I know you got the new fiction book out today or yesterday, Chameleon. And I know you had the best-selling book Transform come out years back about your life story. So, and you've been all over the place, and it's been good to see. I know Jack Carr is promoting your book as well. He's had tremendous success writing fictional thrillers as well. So cool for that. One thing before I jumped in on that, I wanted to ask you about the Fox Special Forces
Yeah.
that you did, because I had Dr. Drew on the podcast here
Oh, did you?
right before that launch, so he wasn't able to give me any kind of details about it
Yeah.
because it didn't air yet. But what was the experience like? How was Dr. Drew? Give me the inside skinny.
Uh,
How was he during this whole event?
He was great, man. Fortunately, he had a medical situation happen, so he got pulled early. And it was for medical reasons. We had to take the proper precautions because we didn't want to kill anybody. But for the time he was there, he did a great job, and he paid, as my shirt said, he paid the man. We've been selling these shirts like hotcakes because my company's my apparel company started printing them because people who watch the show, they love that saying that I came up with, time to pay the man. But yeah, it was a fun show to work on, and got to put celebrities through the ringer and see who had what it took. And what we got was what we got, but it was definitely a fun ride.
Well, very cool. Before I jump into Chameleon, I just want to ask you, because so much of the stuff I focus on here on this podcast is about the fatherless crisis that we have going on. So many kids growing up without a dad, and I know you lost your dad, very early on in your life. I don't think he was ever a part. I think you were only an infant or so, right, when you
I
lost your
was
father.
5. I was
5.
5.
Okay. So my question to you is, what is it like for you raising, especially 3 boys? Now you have a daughter. What is it like for you raising raising children without ever having grown up with a father to kind of get that experience from? And who kind of became your father figure as you were growing up?
Yeah, one, I didn't really. I looked to the streets as my father figure when I was growing up, and that was definitely not the right thing to do. And so, but fast forward to my late 20s, early 30s is when I came to faith, and so I began to faith in Jesus, and that's when I began to look to God for guidance is how to be a father and how to father my kids and how to, love my kids unconditionally and set the right example for my kids. And so that's what's helped me tremendously as a father. And then, having other, good men in my life and watching them father their children and watching them having raised, not having raised, I wasn't there through the process, but seeing the fruits of their parenting, i.e. their kids being upstanding, law-abiding, respectful assets to society, And so I have some really good people in my life. But I love fatherhood, man. I love it. I just love my kids with everything that I do is for my kids. My sleepless nights working on film and TV projects and books and all of this stuff is to make sure that I could provide a life for them. And they're my everything, man. Like I've worked with a lot of celebrities and I don't get starstruck by celebrities. I get starstruck when I come home from a trip and I see my kids and I see how blessed I am to have them.
Yeah, really well said, Remi. Yeah, I think you nailed it there with your faith as well. The two biggest things missing from our society is the Heavenly Father in our society and the father in the home. Those two things combined are responsible for 90% of the chaos we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
And so what would you say? Have your boys shown any interest here yet towards maybe following you? Maybe are they interested in film and acting, or are they interested in the military stuff? What does it look like right now early on here?
They love their Nerf guns and they love, playing, little Navy SEALs running around the house. It's so funny. This weekend on Saturday before I left, my sons, both of them had their friends come over, and we had like a Nerf gun war. And my oldest son was like, let's record it so we could put it on YouTube. And so they were all decked out and in their gear and their Nerf guns. And, we had like 3 different battles and we recorded it all from different angles. So they're all into that stuff. My oldest son, he's into story. He loves movies, and he actually put together a story about 2 years ago called Super Caden or something like that versus the monster, and his teacher helped him put it together. But I see that he has a thing for story and telling stories. So who knows? We'll see where that goes. But I don't know. We'll see. You know how they are when they're young. They're into a lot of different things, and it takes some time to really focus in on what they really want to do.
Yeah, I know. And as they get older too, like my teenagers now, I'll tell them what they were into or wanted to be years ago, and they're like, "Nah, I never wanted to get into that." The denial is strong. But and what about as far as Transformed, the book about your life story? What age do you think you would allow your kids to read that book and read your story?
I think as soon as they're old enough to comprehend, be able to read it and understand, as a lot of it. So I would say maybe my oldest is 9, so maybe around 13, 14, I would say. I'd give them an opportunity, maybe 15. I got to look back. It's been a while since I read this. Well, actually, it hasn't been too much of a while because my Transform got picked up to be a movie. And so I went through Transform when I was writing the screenplay. I went through Transform to see how to adapt it into the book, so into the script, into a movie.
Is that on pause because of the strike too, or?
Yeah. I turned in a draft before the strike, but I know that I have to do rewrites. So, but I can't do rewrites during the strike. So I got to wait for after the strike. They'll give me notes. I go through rewrites, yada, yada, yada.
Who's your top choice for the Remi Adeleke character?
I don't know. I know the studio was interested in John Boyega. They really want John to play me, but we'll see, man. So I don't know. I like Jonathan Majors. I think he would be great for it. John Boyega would be great for it too. So for me, it's any of those two.
Very cool. Yeah, I look forward to that. All right, let me switch it up here now. You got Chameleon, a different type of book now. You got a fictional thriller here, I believe. And there we go. There it is. Yeah, awesome. I love the cover. So hit me with the synopsis here. What's the book about? What can the readers expect when they get it in their hands?
Yeah, so first and foremost, the book is a fictional extension of Transform. Kali Kent is very loosely based off of me. He's from Nigeria, just like I was from Nigeria. I am from Nigeria. He was raised in New York City, found himself in a rising through the ranks and finding himself as an intelligence officer in the CIA. I didn't serve in the CIA, but I was a human guy. I worked in human intelligence. And so essentially, the book follows him on his mission, him and his team's mission to essentially find the identity and bring to justice this South African terrorist who's manipulating worldwide stock markets in a very unique way. I can't give it away. With a lot of these books, you have the villain has the nuclear bomb, or the villain has this chemical or biological weapon that he's going to release onto a nation or onto the world. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different. So here it's economic warfare, it's financial warfare, which I think is more understandable now, especially coming out of COVID, and seeing how COVID ransacked the financial markets and really, especially with where we are, possibly going into a recession soon with our economy. I think people have a better understanding of how, finances, a nation's finances can really destabilize a country. And so that's what our antagonist is doing. He's using a very intricate and intelligent scheme to destabilize the Western world's financial markets. And so our team, Black Box, which is led by colleague Ken, he's a chameleon. Chameleons are people who are agents who are able to essentially become whatever character they need to become at the drop of a dime. Sort of like a chameleon blends into the color it needs to be in order to hide from its enemy, or maybe capture its prey. That's what Kali is. He's a chameleon. He's a master method actor, mashed up with a freaking gnarly operative warrior. And it's all grounded in reality. It's all authentic. And, along with it being an action book and having the thrills and having the espionage piece, it's also somewhat of a political thriller. The substratum of this book is the importance of national unity. As you know, here in America, there's just so much division. So many people are at odds, politically and relationally, and you name it, we have division at every level in this country. And it is of my belief that our enemies are looking to divide us so that they could further conquer us. And so, I tried to put the pill in the cake, so to speak, and, dress up this story with the thrills, with the action, but really have a key message in there, an inspirational message that will inspire people to, take a look inwardly and say, what am I doing to contribute to the disunity in my neighborhood, or in my community, or in my state, or in this country? And what can I do to stop that? What can I do to breed some form of unity? And I always say that, it takes conversation, genuine conversation, that leads to understanding, and understanding leads to unity. And so that's packed. That's, under the surface in the book, and it comes really to the forefront towards the end of the book. So that's the book in a nutshell. It's a really, really, it packs a lot, but it's very succinct and clear and direct in its messaging, and it's a fun read. And I also did the audio book, so just like I did the audio book for Transform. So, I had a good time playing all of the different voices, whether it was a Nigerian accent or South African or German or Kali or this or that. So it's fun all around.
It sounds awesome. The link to the book, Chameleon, down in the description below. And I think there's something just so authentic about guys like you who have been there, done that, served, been in the action, and you get to write from that kind of authentic viewpoint. One question I do have for you, Remi, and I asked this to these other guys like yourself that came from that world, whether it be like Jack Carr or Sean Parnell or Brad Taylor, these guys that were in the service and now write fictional thrillers. What was it difficult for you to write for female characters in the book? What was that process like for you? Did you need to bounce that off a wife, a sister, a colleague to find out, hey, am I getting this voice right? Am I getting this character right? What was that process like for you?
It wasn't hard for me, in part because I try to draw from experiences, and I've had a lot of relationships with a lot of different women. I have a mother. I had a lot of aunts, and so I pull from the experiences that I had from the women in my life, or women that were in my life, to essentially build, the main protagonist. One of the main female characters in the book is a character by the name of Nevaeh, and she's a ghost agent. So in Black Box, there's different programs. So Chameleon is one program, Ghost is another program. These are people who are able to get in and out of places like a ghost and plant themselves in places when need be. Then you have aberration agents, which are a combination of chameleons and ghosts, but they go into deep cover for a decade minimum. Then you have wind agents, which could drive any vehicle like the wind. And so Nevaeh is our female protagonist in the book, and I was able to draw from a lot of different women to create this character, and I didn't have a struggle with it at all. It was actually a fun write. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I always have that question because I would imagine it got to be difficult a lot of times to write because sometimes it's hard to know what women are thinking, especially when you're trying to put them in these chaotic situations in the book. So, speaking about women, now you have a daughter yourself here. Real quick, what has your boys' reaction been? I know what it was like for me watching my three boys become brothers to a little sister. It was so cool for me to see. How have your boys been playing on the role of big brother with a little sister in the house?
Yeah, they've been great, man. They're so tender with her, you know. I think it's because they know that if anything happens, because of their rambunctiousness, they'll get in big trouble. But yeah, they're just so tender and sweet. My youngest son, Carter, you know, he's about let's see, March, so he's about a year and a half older than her. They're very close. Like he's her protector, and you know, when we go places, he puts his arm around her or holds her hand, and just I don't even have to say anything to him. He just does these things on his own, and so you know, it's a beautiful thing to see. But they're really really good with their sister. She probably gets in a little bit more trouble because she's rough with them, you know, because she sees them being rough with each other, and so I could do that too. So she'll like pull hair or you know, punch one of the brothers or something like. But again, it's because she sees them do it to each other, so she thinks that that's fine. She gets in trouble for it, but I'm not as firm with her as I am with my boys. My wife, she takes up the charge as it relates to discipline in our daughter, but yeah, they're good with her. They're good with her.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with disciplining my daughter as you are there. So, I let my wife come in. But I think it's a blessing, really, that we have her to see that relationship that my boys have. I think it's so important for them, too, to grow up, see how you should be treating a girl, and for her to see how she should be treated. So I think it's important all the way around. Last thing I want to hit you with, I know I'm keeping you long here. I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have, Remi, for that new dad or for that about-to-be father who's out there listening?
Wow, that's a good question. I would just say be patient and be present. You know, that's the big thing. That comes to mind, and is, you know, be patient and be present. You know, be patient with your kids, and give the patience to them that you will want given to you. If you were a child, or even if you're a new person at a job, you know, they're going to make mistakes, just like you made mistakes. They're not perfect, and show grace. And the big one, I talked about this the other day, so this comes to mind. Don't be their friend. Being a parent is not about being their friend. It's about being their parent. And I think that that's where we're seeing a lot of issues in our in this, you know, these younger generations now, is that they're out of control, in part because they don't have parents who are parents. They have parents who are friends. So don't be afraid to be the parent to your child. The friendship, that'll come later down the line when they're grown up and possibly out the house, and you know, they're standing on their own 2 feet. Then you guys could be friends, but there has to be some level of hierarchy and respect, because if they can't learn how to respect you, they won't respect their employer. They won't respect the authorities out there in the streets. They won't respect anybody else if they can't respect their own parent. And so that only comes when their parent treats them as a child, and expects that they treat them as a parent, and when a parent doesn't treat them as a friend.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. This has been an honor for me. Chameleon, available now. Link is down there in the description of this podcast episode. Remi Adeleke, you're a first-class father all the way. Thanks for giving me a few minutes of your time on First Class Fatherhood.
Hey, thank you, Alec. I appreciate you, brother.